One of my favorite new contemporary artists, Joey Badass, has a song "Sit and Pray," where he says, the only time he be asking is when he's sexing. My team like Teenage Mutants and the X-Men. Fire spark when I step in. He the Human Torch, inhaling fumes of all sorts, of course. So obviously this is another X-Men reference, which there's many. Throws in a little line about the Human Torch as well, which is a Fantastic Four team member, as you may know. Michael B. Jordan played him in one of the reboots. It was not really well received, but I thought it was a cool twist on the old classic Fantastic Four. Next we have Rhapsody, song Dark Nights. Reaching for better, it's whatever. I'm Kevin Bacon. X-Men out that want no part of my making. Why? Bane 8, a match for this MC, and the Dark Knight back wings need an M3. So yeah, that's a real clever flip of words. He's talking about the X-Men again. He throws in a little bit about Bane, which is a Batman villain, one of the strongest, coolest, in my opinion, Batman villains. So next one we got is Lupe Fiasco featuring Jeezy and T.I., a song called Superstar Remix. The lyric goes, I fell on purpose to stay a freshman. I lose, but Lou attends school for the X-Men. So when I get up my cap and gown and put the rapping down, I only know half my powers, but I spent half an hour. You know, he's talking about the school for the X-Men, which they have, you know, their own school, and so he's going to graduate, and he only knows half his powers capabilities, but it's only been a short time, so he will learn the rest of his powers and become more powerful. Next we have a classic. Like I said, these are in no order. One of my favorite tracks. We got Raekwon featuring Ghostface Killer, Method Man, and Capadonna, Ice Cream. A lot of you might not have caught this reference because it's a very lesser known character. But he says, your whole shell baby's wicked like Nimrod. Caught me like a freshwater scrod, or may I not be God. So when he says your whole shell baby's wicked like Nimrod, he's talking about Nimrod, which is an X-Men villain, sort of. It's a sentinel, which are sort of like artificial intelligence robots that are sent out with the ability to track mutants, detect mutants, and kill them. The Nimrod is the most sort of advanced version of the Sentinels. So and he's wicked. So and of course he's got a shell. So that's where Ghostface threw that in. Next we got Big Sean with his track Deep. He says, you ain't got that metal on your side. Police gonna work it like Magneto. If they need to, it get deep. Deeper than telekinesis. Deeper than your sister dying and you're telling your nieces. So again, more X-Men references, and I promise you I'm not just like collecting X-Men references. They definitely will always be a big part of hip-hop, so you'll always see that. And of course, you know, Magneto we talked about, and telekinesis would be Professor Xavier's power. Jean Grey as well, her power more than Professor X, who's more of a psychic. And then, of course, CZARFACE, who is another one of these, like MF Doom, largely comic book sort of themed, you know, MCs with their themed sort of albums, always have comic art on the covers and things like that. And great line, he says, I was raised on a tape the same color as Galactus. Well, we all know the purple tape. And of course, he looks a little pink here, but that's Galactus. He's the sort of the Silver Surfer's sort of boss, if you will. Sends him out, you know, to find worlds for him to consume, because he is the planet eater, and he's typically portrayed as purple. So we know what he's talking about there. Only built for Cuban links, of course. And then we have Logic, underrated MC. A lot of people you either like him or you hate him, I guess. I think he's bananas. But he's got a track called War Vet, where he says, chilling on the low key, incognito, manipulate the steel like Magneto, smacking suckers like mosquitoes, dispersing verses like a kilo. Of course, he's talking about Magneto again, manipulating steel because, of course, Magneto, hence the name, his power is to be able to manipulate metals, so he can, you know, do anything with any sort of metals. And of course, that includes the iron in your blood, so he can pretty much manipulate anybody and most things that have some degree of metal in them. So that's what makes him such a formidable character. And then, of course, now this is a classic. Again, my favorite MC, Ghostface Killer. His track Slept on Tony, where he says, when they kidnapped your boy and forced me to do evil, I created an iron suit to protect my people. Escaped, bound to be Iron Man the Great, the billionaire Tony Stark will renew your fate. So, before Tony Stark became a household name, thanks to the success of the Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man movies, Ghostface's first album was called Iron Man, which is one of the reasons that Iron Man is one of my favorite characters, and I was so hyped when the movie was coming out. And, you know, of course, that album led him to make his name, you know, Tony Stark was sort of his alter ego based on that. And of course, Ghost adds an S on the end, so instead of Tony Stark, he's Tony Starks. But he references the billionaire Tony Starks, you know, many times, even naming another one of his albums Pretty Tony, based on his name, Tony Starks. And of course, the song in question, Slept on Tony, which I went nuts when they played it on the big screen on the private jet scene, when Robert Downey Jr. is talking to Terrence Howard, which is, of course, that's Iron Man and War Machine. And so they have a scene where they're on the private jet, and they, you know, they're talking, and then they kind of cut to a scene where they kind of just started partying. And in the background on the video, you'll see a Ghostface video, and that was no mistake that they picked Ghostface. They know that's Iron Man. So yeah, I went nuts when I seen that. And of course, there's also a deleted scene that nobody really got to see in the film, where Ghostface is actually in the same nightclub as Robert Downey, you know, Tony Stark's and Iron Man. So that's pretty cool that he got in there.